Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, or good evening, depending on where you are. My name's Alex, and I'll be focusing on the answer analysis today for the task that was placed in the Facebook group for Connetics and Swoosh English. So I hope that you completed the task, and together we can have a look at the answers and we can assess why the answers are correct, and also how we can benefit from using the vocabulary from today's class in the IELTS exam going forward. So welcome to all those who are watching today, and if you are there, let me know in the chat box where you're watching from, and also as well, if you have the answers to the questions, then please do participate there as well, because it'll be interesting to see which answers you chose in relation to this task. So let's have a look then at IELTS writing part 1. The key is it's about using appropriate language for the writing task 1. And this is what you should be prepared to do for this task. So the most common task for writing task 1, as I'm sure you're aware, is to describe a chart. And so what you need to do is to actually describe what the chart shows. You need to be able to describe the overall trends. Are the overall trends focusing on an increase or a decrease? Are they focusing on an overall period of stability? Whatever the overall trends are focused on, you need to be able to describe them. And when it comes to reporting specific details, you need to be able to write about increases and decreases, where they occur. Also, non-changes as well. So as I was stating before, periods of stability. But writing about just an increase and a decrease is not likely to be enough to get you the highest marks in the IELTS exam. You also need to be able to write about the extent of the changes. So if there's an increase, what kind of an increase was it? Was it significant or was it slight? Also, you need to use a variety of appropriate vocabulary. So don't just keep repeating the same words. If you are writing about a decrease, for example, in a particular value, if you are referring to that again later in the task, or if you're writing about another decrease, you might want to write about a fall rather than a decrease, or a decline. So certainly the vocabulary we'll be looking at today will help us to improve in all of these areas. Welcome to Nana and Shazi. Great to see you in the class today. And Shazi, you're watching from Saudi Arabia. Wonderful. Okay, so these are the key points then with writing task 1. Let's actually have a look now at the task itself and see which vocabulary we should be using to complete the answers. Gone too quickly there. So looking at number 1, the most what feature of the chart was the sharp fall in theatre attendances. So if anyone has the answer to this, do share it in the chat box. Okay. So of the options that we have, the best option is noticeable. So the most noticeable feature. So we can just write that in here. Okay, so the most noticeable feature, just cross that off, of the chart was the sharp fall in theatre attendances. So we can see this is describing one of the key features of the chart, and so this is a great phrase to use. So using a phrase like this, the most noticeable feature, is a great way to introduce the key details for describing IELTS Task 1. Moving on to number 2. What do we think about this one? Okay, so I can see we've got a few more people that have introduced themselves in the chat. MG Dunka, great to see you here. Watching also from Saudi Arabia. Also, J Sri, hello to you. Hello, Kapil. So you've put noticeable, good. Just be careful there with the spelling, Kapil. Ninzi. So there isn't a chart, Ninzi. It's just looking at useful language in this case. So don't worry so much about the chart, but it's the language that we're using. Okay, so moving on then to number 2, I can see already we've got suggestions. Shows from J Sri, which looks like a good suggestion to me. It shows. Remember, we are supposed to make the relevant changes to the words as well. So this is describing the graph or the chart right at the beginning of the task. The graph shows the increase in the market share of Facebook compared to the other 2 sites. Good. So moving on to number 3. What are our thoughts there? Hi, Alice. Is there a change in timetable? Well, we're going to be doing these classes at 2:30 in GMT, UK time, on Tuesday and Wednesday. So possibly that's a change from previously. Hello to Annie as well. Okay, so number 3, we've got a suggestion here from Jayshree, fluctuate. So let's have a look. So shopper numbers over most of the year, but the last 3 months were less erratic. Okay, so yeah, so comparing that with it being erratic, so yeah, definitely fluctuate, but we should use, of course, the past tense, because we can see it says were less erratic at the end of the sentence. So this is referring to information which occurred in the past. So fluctuated is the answer here. Okay, moving on to number 4. Any ideas for number 4? What do we think? Okay, so Nana suggesting decline, Jayshree suggesting surge. Okay, so there was, yeah, well, it says numbers almost doubling. So the fact it said numbers almost doubling would definitely suggest that surge would be the correct term to use here. Yeah, so there was a surge in visitors. Yeah, so numbers doubling obviously means there was an increase there. Okay, very good. What about number 5? Any suggestions for this one? If we look at number 5, so the amount of energy used. Any ideas? Let me know if you think you've got the answer in the chat box. Declined, says Jayshree. Yvette says remain steady. Okay. Yeah, okay. So remained steady. Both are possible in this case. It could be a decline, but just looking at the other options, there are other options which we could use for the other sentences. So yeah, remained steady would be the answer here. Remember the tense. Yeah, we're reporting these in the past. Oops. That's supposed to say remained. So yeah, remained steady. Yeah, as I say, declined would also fit because the contrast is with began to increase, but there are other sentences where declined would be a better option. So moving on to number 6. What do we think here? So Jayshree suggesting plummet. Plummet is a very good word. Obviously, we're talking about a significant decrease, and I agree. So again, ensure that when you're using these key verbs, that you're using them in the correct tense. So it should be plummeted in September with the ed, hitting a low for the year. Okay, so coming towards the last 4, there was a gradual what? Any ideas for number 7? Okay, good. So Yvette saying declined, Jayshree saying declined. Yeah, Ninzi says decline. Yeah, so it is decline, isn't it? Because there was a gradual. It's not a verb this time. It's a noun. So we don't add a D on. Yeah, so it's a decline. A lot of these verbs can also be used as nouns. They don't actually change in form. So to plummet is obviously is the verb. We wouldn't have a noun form of that, but with decline, you can still talk about to decline or a decline. You can talk about a surge as a noun or to surge as a verb. So a number of these can be used as both verbs and nouns. Okay, what about number 8? The trend for 2 of the sites was upward, with the other clearly. What do we think this one could be? Yep, absolutely. So we've got a suggestion there, downwards. Yep, so the opposite of upward is downward. So upward means it's going up, and downward means it's going down. So again, some very useful vocabulary for part 1. And for number 9, there was very little difference in the something in sales. Any suggestions for that? In the breakdown in sales? Do we agree with that? The breakdown? I think trend is the better option on this occasion. Very little difference in the trend in sales. For all 5 companies. Yeah, we talk about differences in trends. And so the final one must be the chart provides a breakdown I'm going to squeeze that in here, of the number of passenger miles travelled according to different modes of transport. So a breakdown means provides the specific details of, and so that keyword we could use there. So that's a number of keywords then that we have seen used in this exercise. And your goal going forward is to use these keywords in your writing for task 1. These words can be used in many different contexts. You can see some of these sentences are introducing the chart. Some of these sentences are providing key details in terms of the overview, and some of them are providing specific detail in terms of changes which occur. So if these are new words or new expressions, do attempt to use them in your writing practice, and you'll see your vocabulary scores begin to increase. So thank you for all of those who were watching today. I hope that you found this class useful, and please join us again for the next IELTS analysis class, which will be the same time on Tuesday. So 2:30 GMT on Tuesday, which is UK time. I hope to see many of you there. So until then, Take care.